Hello, I'm Reggie Rader, a captain with the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department. Currently, I'm the captain of the Southeast Area Command. The Southeast Area Command is a very large and diverse section of the Valley. The borders, for the most part, are Pecos and Charleston and everything to the south and east of there until it borders Henderson. Southeast is comprised of single-family residence, apartment homes, daily, weekly rentals, our casino and hotel properties along the Boulder Highway corridor, as well as a large recreational outdoor space in the Clark County wetlands area. Southeast Area Command is historically known as having the most calls for service out of Las Vegas Metro's 10 area commands. So our officers pride themselves on customer service and providing the best service they can for the community members when responding to calls. I have 22 years with Las Vegas Metro. In addition to spending my whole law enforcement career with Las Vegas Metro, I'm also born and raised in Las Vegas. And for some of you older individuals, you'll know that being born and raised in Las Vegas wasn't something you encountered a whole lot. We see it more and more now today as family roots have been established, but anyone that's spent significant time here in the Las Vegas Valley has seen the Valley change. They've seen the Valley grow. It's become more diverse, and Las Vegas, by definition, has to constantly reinvent itself so it can remain the entertainment capital and tourist destination for the world. Much like the Valley has changed over these past decades, the Las Vegas Police Department has changed as well. This is not the same department I was hired on over 20 years ago. It's not even the same department it was 10 years ago. And that's in large part to the community partnerships that we have and the progressive policing that we've done as an agency. I had the opportunity to attend some training at the end of last year in Quantico at the FBI Academy. There was over 250 law enforcement professionals and executives attending this training. And I was pleasantly surprised to see that we're doing a lot of things right here with Las Vegas Metro. We're known as a standard for progressiveness and our transparency, and that is due in large part to you, the community. My message to you today is going to be that of accountability. It's how we can hold ourselves accountable as a police department and how the community can hold us accountable, thus ensuring we maintain that legitimacy within the community. Nearly 10 years ago, we saw that we were having some officer-involved shootings, and we looked inwards on ways that we could improve. And we did some self-imposed reforms where the Department of Justice and other law enforcement leaders came to our department, and for a year they evaluated the way we did things. The largest takeaway from that is the cornerstone of our use of force policy being the sanctity of human life. The other big takeaway was the community involvement that we needed. You are a member of this police department just as much as we are members of your community. We're community focused, all because of you. We know that we're given a tremendous responsibility to police this community, and it's not taken lightly. There's numerous ways that you can be involved that we've already been doing, and for those of you that don't know, we would encourage you to become involved with. What I would ask of everyone as they're listening to this is to view this with a local lens. Don't paint us with a broad brush of what might be happening on the national stage. We are very well aware of incidents going on around the country, but we have many incidents here where those things will be averted if they should happen. And that's in large part to the policies, the training, and the tactics that we have come up with community members and our officers use every single day. Over the past 10 years, we've recognized the importance of accountability. To us, accountability means a constant review of our strategies, learning what we did right and expanding upon that, and identifying areas where we have failed and improving upon that. This means having diverse opinions at the table. It means not being afraid to grow and evolve so we can all become better. A few ways that we have been accountable, and we will continue to do so, are when we invited the criminal justice experts to come take a look at how we can reduce our officer-involved shootings. We developed the first policies in the United States for de-escalation training and duty to intervene. Now, duty to intervene means any officer that's there and they see excessive use of force being used or any force that's not objectively reasonable, they must intervene and stop that action. If they don't, they are just as culpable as the officer doing that offense. We were the first major city in the United States to outfit every single patrol officer with body-worn cameras, thus ensuring we can maintain our transparencies. The body-worn cameras help us to keep good cops good, and they help us get rid of the bad ones. The other way we can ensure transparency with the community is on our officer-involved shootings, letting the community know right away what has occurred. After every officer-involved shooting, within hours, we put out a video on all the preliminary information known to investigators. We put this information out on our YouTube channel. Within 48 hours of a shooting, we release the names of the involved officers. And then with 3 business days of a shooting, we do a press conference. And at that press conference, we release all the information that's known to us at that time, as well as show any available video so we can let the public know what's going on. Again, all of these things are posted on our LVMPD YouTube page. As an agency, we also continue to reflect on our policies, and we're committed to ensuring that they're the best that are out there in the nation. I talked about the sanctity of life being paramount for us. Every single officer is given that directive when they patrol each and every day. The sheriff's directive to us is very clear: serve people, strengthen communities, and improve the quality of life. This May, before any of the protests occurred, we looked at our policies and we updated them. We give more importance to de-escalation, and we further outline an officer's responsibility and mandate to intervene. The new policy also mandates that officers will not restrain subjects who are already in custody in a matter that can comprise their ability to breathe. Something that makes us very unique is we have an elected sheriff. And the benefit of having an elected sheriff, Sheriff Joe Lombardo, is that he serves the people. He was elected to the people, and he answers to the people. And thus, all of his officers answer to the people. He does not have to wait to get permission from a city council or a mayor, and we've seen how that delay has caused some other cities some significant problems during these challenging times. Sheriff Lombardo has the ability to get the appropriate stakeholders involved in the community to put together teams and task forces to best serve our crime-fighting mission and our community engagement projects. There's 18,000 police departments throughout the nation, and not all are comprised equally. The training that we get here at Las Vegas Metro is second to none. My ask of any community member is do your homework, educate yourself on the way we do things here. If you find a better system out there, we are more than willing to listen. You have immediate access to us on all of our social media platforms or any of the area commands that you live in. The 10 area commands we have all have captains that are eager to assist. You're more than welcome to stop in, to drop a phone call to them, or schedule an appointment, and they'd be more than happy to address any of the concerns that you have. Some community-focused policing things that we've done are Coffee with a Cop events. This allows community members to engage with officers in the non-traditional policing side. Another thing we do is First Tuesday. We're doing today's First Tuesday virtually with the COVID pandemic, but we invite community members to come into our police stations and share firsthand any concerns that they have and relay their experiences with police officers. In Bolden Area Command, they raise money each year to pay for basketball uniforms and equipment. At the Southeast Area Command, we're putting on a sports program at the Park Del Rick Center with one of our community partners, Alex Bernal. All of our area commands have identified hot spots where they can go do community events and drives, pass out food, and let everybody know that they can take pride in their neighborhoods the same way that we do. We have an Office of Community Engagement that holds backpack drives to outfit kids for school. And finally, we have intervention officers at all of the area commands. We know we cannot arrest our way out of the problem, and the intervention officer's goal is to try to break that cycle of violence for families. And a quick example of that is if a young juvenile is shoplifting food, does he have the resources needed in the house? Or is there food in the fridge? Or is he hungry and that's the reason he's committing crimes? So those intervention officers can use those non-traditional policing methods to try to have a healthy involvement in that family and kind of break that cycle of violence and use the community stakeholders and partners that we've identified in the community to get those individuals food. There's several ways in which we've been working with our community, and a lot of community members have already done their part, but I want to invite everybody here to be a part of that as well. We'll be putting out on our social media pages different ways that you can volunteer or assist and be involved with the way we do things here at Metro, but a few of them are going to be the Citizens Police Academy. This police academy is done over the course of several weeks, where one time a week you get to come in and you have instruction from a police officer or a civilian from a different area of the department, and they talk about the days in and days outs of what they do. We also put you through some scenario-based training. So you'll get the hands-on training that our officers get in making those split-second decisions with dynamic scenario placement. From there, you can also volunteer to assist at the area commands with our MVP program, which is also available online. A huge reason I'm here to talk to you today is officer-involved shootings. We scrutinize every single significant use of force here at Las Vegas Metro. And we are known nationally for the amount of attention that we pay to all these officer-involved shootings. Many people don't know, but we have citizen use of force board members that come out on all of our officer-involved shootings. You can volunteer to do this, and we'll put the information on our social media page. But the long and short of it, these individuals will receive some training, and they'll be on a rotational basis, and they'll be on call. These use of force community members will then respond to the officer-involved shooting or an in-custody death or another critical significant use of force. They'll be able to walk the scene side by side with investigators. They'll be able to see and smell and experience all of the things present for when that critical use of force was used. Those citizen review board members are then privy to all the investigation and the interviews for the officers and the suspects, and they will sit on the use of force board. What makes us truly unique is we have a majority of citizen review board members on the panel outnumbering the commissioned officers. So they truly can decide and vote if that use of force was administratively approved or disproved. Another example of community involvement we have in helping us remain accountable is the citizen complaint process. If an individual files a complaint on an officer with internal affairs and they're not happy with that outcome, they can go to the citizen board and they can file a complaint with them. The citizen board has access to all the interviews, and they can make their own determination for or against the officer. The Las Vegas Metro is an organization that's always changing. We're always improving. We know we can only be as good as our community. And if I were to tell you that we had everything figured out, that would be inaccurate. The minute we say we figured out everything, we're resting upon our laurels, that's the day we fail you as an agency. The mandate from our sheriff is to be the safest community in America. And we have to keep striving for that each and every day and continue to work with our community members each and every day. I want to reiterate, you have a voice. At the end of the day, all anyone really wants is to be heard. You will always have an open seat at the table with Metro, and I welcome your participation. At this time, we're going to go ahead and turn it over for questions. We'll be receiving questions through the social media, and they'll be reading them off to me. And I'd be happy to answer any questions that community members might have.
Okay, we have a number of questions about the Gomez incident on the open carry case on the Las Vegas Boulevard. They want to know why there were no body-worn camera footage for that incident.
The question was referenced the officer-involved shooting, reference the citizen Gomez that occurred during a protest. And I want to reiterate to everybody, I said all of our patrol officers are outfitted with body-worn cameras. In unprecedented times, such as the civil unrest or large riots and protests, we had to have all officers on deck for that. So the officers that were engaged in that officer-involved shooting were officers that are assigned to the range. They typically do not have citizen contact. Their day-to-day job is teaching and training our officers off-site. When it comes down to body-worn cameras, there's also a budget issue. We were allotted a certain amount of money to budget body-worn cameras, and we had to determine the officers that needed the body-worn cameras the most, and that is our patrol officers. And we thought it better suited for our patrol officers to have those cameras as opposed to detectives sitting behind desks or trainers that don't have any interaction with the public. But we would welcome it as an agency additional funds of revenue or some budget allotment to outfit the entire department with body-worn cameras, but that is the reason there was no body-worn camera footage for that officer-involved shooting.
One participant would like you to address what she describes as excessive force on peaceful protesters during all of the demonstrations that we've had here in Las Vegas.
So the question was addressing excessive use of force on peaceful protests that have occurred in the Valley. And I want to talk about my own experiences being out there. As a captain, I was able to lead some of the men and women out there on some of these protests. It's important to remember we've had over 100 protests, and the majority of those have been peaceful. And I truly want to commend the community organizers and the protest leaders who have taken control of policing themselves. We've established good open lines of communications with them, and when we can talk beforehand and find out what's going on and ways that we can help, they seem to go a lot smoother. These same organizers have also learned to not let fringe group members in who are looking to just be antagonizers and really detract from the overall message. Every single officer at Metro has taken an oath to uphold the Constitution, to lay their life down if need be. We take the First Amendment protection of free speech very importantly, and we want everybody to be able to protest, but they have to do so in a peaceful manner. We will not let our city burn as other cities have burned. We will not let mobs of people take over streets and destroy property. We do not use force on peaceful protests, but we will not let officers and citizen members take rocks and bottles and bricks, and we will not let pedestrians interfere with freeway traffic where they could be significantly hurt or killed. We've had over 50 officers injured on working these protests, and as you know, one officer is still clinging for life as a result of working one of these protests. So any force used on these protests was only when the protests became violent. Dispersal orders are given, and that's only occurring when the protests do turn violent, and everyone is giving an opportunity to leave. Force used on individuals are those that have decided to stick around and be antagonizers and pose a threat to the safety of this community.
We have a question from Patricia Stone. Why is body-worn camera footage now $280? Is it just to deter people from actually asking for it?
So the question was on getting copies of the body-worn camera and the fee of $280. I believe a news outlet may have done us a disservice by putting out there the cost, because that's not very accurate. It's a prorated rate. If you want hours and hours of body-worn camera footage, yes, you're going to have to pay for that. And the reason you're going to have to pay for that is we have to move resources over for that body-worn camera footage. There's things that have to be redacted and scrubbed, such as juveniles' faces, personal identifying information, things protected under HIPAA. And we are working with organizing our industry leaders and trying to find an automated way to cut down on the man hours and the cost for doing that. But right now, it just doesn't exist. So in light of remaining transparent with the community, the sheriff has created a special group that will go through and make these body-worn camera videos accessible, but that does come at a cost. The majority of requests coming in are for only 10 or 15 minutes on a particular incident. And that is a prorated rate. It's not going to be $280. But if you are requesting hours and hours and hours of body-worn camera footage, yes, there is a cost associated with that, but that does not apply to the majority of the requests that we receive.
Okay, we have a number of questions coming in about whether or not officers are getting regularly tested for COVID, and why aren't they wearing masks?
So the question was if our officers are being regularly tested for COVID, as well as why they are not regularly wearing masks. First, I'll address the regularly testing for COVID. We do have a health and safety department here that is tracking all of the officers' potential exposure to COVID-19, and in that instance, they do the flow chart to determine other people they've come into contact with or other team members they may have worked with, and we'll get those individuals tested and quarantined as outlined by state and local guidelines. The mask question. There is an exemption in the governor's orders for masks for law enforcement. Our law enforcement officers are provided masks, and they are required to wear them when they are transporting individuals to the jail or when they are inside the county detention center or the city jail. However, so much of a police officer's job is communication. easily 90% of what we do is communication. And it's very hard to relay things and to communicate effectively while wearing a mask. So in light of public safety, to make sure that officers' commands can be heard, to make sure that crucial orders are not being muffled or obstructed by a mask, our officers do not have to wear masks, but they are encouraged to when it's safe to do so and when transporting prisoners or in one of the detention facilities. I want to say thank you to all those individuals online who are supporting the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police. I also want to say thanks to everyone who are adhering to the social distancing guidelines and the mask requirements. We understand. We get it that it's hard. Your officers here are also community members, and when they're not working, they are wearing masks and they're enduring those same things that you are. As an area command captain, I want to say thank you for the huge outpour of support that comes in each and every day. Every day when I come in, it seems like food's being dropped off or cards are written to the officers. We have a huge board where we can display all those things and those thanks so the officers do know that the vast, vast majority of this community supports us, and we do appreciate that support and that partnership with the community.
We have one last question from Jimmy, who wants to know, when will Metro be hiring for POs again?
So we have a question on when Las Vegas Metro is going to be hiring. And I would encourage you to keep checking back with protectthecity.com. That's Metro's website, which has all the hiring information, all the jobs that are listed on there. A lot of when we're going to be hiring again is going to be dictated on budgetary issues. There's a special session in the legislature, I believe, occurring very soon. And that's really going to dictate if we're going to be able to continue to hire, and hopefully we can continue to hire so we can meet that 2 officer per 1,000 resident ratio that is so paramount to have. And I would encourage anyone out there to get with their elected officials and let them know the way that you would want them to vote. You've seen in other large cities, there's lots of violence and violent crime going up, and we've been able to quell that and not have that significant violence because of the officers that we have working. I'd also like to say that there's a number of other jobs here at Las Vegas Metro, and opposed to just police officer, there's the corrections, dispatchers, crime scene analysts, and a myriad of others. So if you go on to protectthecity.com, you will be able to see the most up-to-date information on what we are hiring for.
Probably our last question will be on defunding the police, what our reaction is to that, and the special legislative session and how that might impact what we end up doing.
That's a great question. It's going to be on defunding the police and our thoughts on that, as well as the special legislative session when they're looking at doing those things. As police work has changed vastly these last few decades, things that were not truly police matters, such as substance abuse, homelessness, mental health issues, those were all handled by other individuals. And as cities grew and changed and budgets were slashed or reallocated, that fell on the police department as really the only one in being able to deal with that. We would welcome extra help in dealing with those issues so we can get back to the more traditional issues. But I want to make one thing very clear. We were never given any extra money or any extra funding to deal with those issues. Those were all done in addition to the regular jobs that the police officers have to do each and every day. So when we're talking about defunding, there's not per se money to take where we'll no longer deal with the homeless issues, or we won't deal with mentally ill individuals. There'll be some other entity that deals with that. There's no money that you could take from us that's already allocated for us to do that. So sadly, any loss of funding will mean a decrease of services. And I would implore you to look at what is going on around the nation and other large cities. We're very fortunate here with the leadership we have in our sheriff and the direction he gives us to go out there and be able to keep this community safe. The community partnerships and programs, the training that we have is second to none in the nation. And a loss of funding will have an effect on that. So you can get with your legislatures, your elected officials, and talk to them about that. But I also want to say, if the cry is coming for defunding the police over social justice issues, look internally as well. Those social justice issues are not happening here. And again, that's because the day in and day out relationships that we have with our working groups, the NAACP, community members, faith-based leaders, they work with us on our policies and procedures to make sure what we are putting out the way we are policing is a way that the community expects. That's all I have time for questions. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Please share this with as many people as you can. You can definitely come to the table with us and you can be a part of the solution. And we are open to other ideas. We're never going to get everything perfect, like I said before, because the minute we feel like we have it perfect, we're going to stop striving for excellence. We've shown time and time again, when we come together as police and the community, we truly are Vegas strong, and there is nothing we can't accomplish together. Thank you.